Hello, my name is Savannah Schrader. I'm from Texas Tech University, and today I will be presenting over my Prospectus 1 and 2 project for AgEd 5302. The effect of the SQ5R strategy has on attention, excitability, and emotions during the learning process. Introduction. Opportunities to measure human attributes could help researchers better understand the human behavior. There are a couple devices called the BioPack systems and the Tobii eye tracking system that could really help measure emotional response, attention, and psychophysiological factors. The BioPack system is a device that is relatively new that measures psychophysiology. Tobii eye tracking system is a device that measures eye movements. In the agricultural education realm, there is limited research using these modern state-of-the-art technologies. Problem statement. With emerging technologies and limited research in the agricultural education, using these technologies could provide insight of psychophysiological factors in the learning environment. There has been tremendous amounts of research on how the human learns in the classroom and how we can improve learning. However, we don't have a lot of research of how the mind and body corresponds together during the learning process. So there is a metacognitive strategy that is called SQ5R, and SQ5R stands for Survey, Question, Read, Respond, Record, Recite, Review. Researching psychophysiological factors would be meaningful for the educational setting to have a deeper understanding of how the body is during the learning process. And one way that we can do this is by studying a learner while they are using a metacognitive strategy, like SQ5R. So the objectives of the study is to compare the data of attention, emotional response, and excitability while participants use the SQ5R metacognitive strategy versus while they do not. The objectives of the study is 1. Determine the level of retention and comprehension SQ5R strategy has on the learner. 2. Determine how the use of the SQ5R affects the learner's emotions. 3. Determine how the use of the SQ5R affects the learner's excitability. 4. Determine how the use of the SQ5R affects the learner's attention. And 5. Identify the variations of the eye movement during the implementation of SQ5R. So the limitations of my study are undergraduate and graduate students at Texas Tech University. They must be 18 years or older, and they have to be willing to participate. So the need for my study is to learn how the body reacts during the learning process. Like I said earlier, there is a lot of research of qualitative data, but there's not a lot of quantitative data out there in the agricultural education. Now there are a lot, or relatively quite a bit, in the education aspects in realm, but there are not that many in the agricultural education world. Another need for the study is to learn how the body reacts during metacognitive strategies, and one way that we can use this information is to help teachers learn how to better educate the students in specific situations. So my theoretical framework, one thing that it's based off of is metacognition, which SQ5R is a metacognitive strategy. So Flavel of 1970 describes metacognition as knowing about knowing. Within metacognition, a student goes through a process called metacognitive activity, which allows a student to adapt to the environment and carry out appropriate thinking strategies to generate purposeful thinking. Sometimes we can link this to active learning. And this particular metacognitive activity idea comes from Ferrari and Sternberg of 1998, Kuhn, Schwenk, Aguet, and Radrewski of 1995. When a person goes through metacognition, memory and attention is a key ingredient in information processing. So SQ5R. Craig and Lockhart of 1972 say that SQ5R and metacognitive strategies begin with a shallow processing of information by skimming through the material and having a basic understanding. But by the end of SQ5R, the learner goes through a deeper information processing by reciting what has been learned in the material, which is active learning, and that's also by Craig and Lockhart. So my research design is quantitative in nature with a pre-test, post-test, quasi-experimental design. There's 4 reading passages total, and each timeline will only have 2 out of the 4. Each subject will receive 1 of the combinations. The way the timeline in Tobii Eye Tracker Pro works is first they will receive an eye calibration where their eyes will follow a movement or a dot, and it will make sure that the subject is in the right place and that the eye tracker can see their eyes. After eye calibration, there's a reading passage, then 3 questions. Then the SQ5R instructional video will appear after the first reading passage and questions. Once the video has ended, the second reading passage will pop up and the second set of questions will appear. Now I have, like I said, I have 4 passages, and there is 4 different combinations. The first combination is mitosis passage and then bryophytes passage. In the second combination, there is bryophytes passage and then meiosis passage. In the third combination, there is tracheophytes passage and then mitosis passage. And then in the fourth combination, there is meiosis passage and then tracheophytes passage. Now my independent variables, the independent variable is the 4 combinations of reading passages. So each participant will be randomly assigned to a specific combination of 2 reading passages. The participant will learn about how to use this strategy in the video between their assigned reading passages. The dependent variable is the measurements, the psychophysiological and the biological measurements. In addition, gaze duration and fixation. Now, the psychophysiological and biological measurements are the electrocardiogram, the electrodermal activity, and the respiratory measurements. And this comes from the BioPAC system. The gaze duration and fixation will be measured by the Tobii Eye Tracker. Now, the procedures. Before the participant arrives, the researcher will prep the electrodes for use by placing gel in the containers and will have Acknowledge and Tobii Pro launched and ready. The participants who volunteered for the study will meet in the 206B room in the Ag Ed and Com building. The script will be read to the participant and will be given a consent form to read over and sign. Now we use a script so that there is consistencies and to help with reliability and validity. So once the consent form is signed, the participant will have electrodes placed on their wrist, their 2 forearms near their elbows, and 2 electrodes on the meaty part of their palm. After this, there will be 3 straps placed, 1 on the wrist and 2 on the stomach, and one of the ones on the stomach is for respiratory measurements, And then the one below that is to connect the electrocardiogram and respiratory leads. Once the participant is comfortable and has been set up with all the electrodes and devices, and we have started the BioPack measurements, we will sit the participant down in a chair in front of the computer screen, and they will begin the research process in front of the computer, where they will read the passages, do the eye calibration, and the video. And then once the participant is done, the Qualtrics questionnaire will pop up. Once they have finished the questionnaire, they will be given a gift card, and they will sign a sheet of paper stating that they have received the gift card, and then the study is concluded and the participant may leave. Data analysis. I will use SPSS to find the ANOVA statistical test to compare the multiple variances amongst the answers to the questions. The information found from the ANOVA will provide observed variance amongst the variables for each subject. In addition, by using the ANOVA, I anticipate there will be less type 1 error. The alpha level is set at p equals 0.1 to test the research questions because of the small population size. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I'm excited to see how the results come out, and stay tuned for the results. These are my references. If you have any questions, please contact me at savannah.c.schrader@ttu.edu.